Welcome in to Outkick the Show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. This show presented by Oddshark. Go to Oddshark for all of your gambling and informational related needs. We got a lot to get to, going to cover a lot of range. Let me go ahead and give you the rundown. We're going to talk about Donald Trump's transgender soldier ban. We're going to talk about the Kyrie LeBron feud growing. We're going to talk about the CTE study a little bit more and what it means for the future of football. We're going to talk about the Pac-12, the brave souls in the Pac-12 cutting 5 minutes from the band and at halftime. And we are going to talk all about why I think whoever put Cobras inside of potato chip containers should be murdered, decapitated, Ned Stark style, on the spot. But we begin with transgender soldier ban. This morning, I'm sitting around, I'm reading my Twitter feed. Donald Trump does one of those things where he starts a tweet and then pauses, and it was so poignant and pregnant of a pause. I'm like, my God, what is he going to say next? I had no idea what he was going to do. And then he bans transgender people from serving in the military. All right, my thoughts on this in general. And I'm sure everybody's got a hot take on this. I'm going to say that my take actually a little bit tepid. Let me tell you why. I believe that anybody has the right to be anything that they want to be. All right, if it makes you happy, as Sheryl Crow would say, then it can't be that wrong. All right, especially when you are a consenting adult. So if it makes you happier to be a girl and you are a boy, or if it makes you happier to be a boy and you are a girl, and if that's the same thing and I just reversed it, either way, you can switch your gender. What should not happen is you should not do that while you are being paid for that surgery as a member of the United States Armed Forces. I find this insane that we and our taxpayer dollars pay for somebody's gender to be changed. If you want to join the military after you change your gender, then more power to you. I think you should be able to do whatever you want. But you should never, in my opinion, ever be paid to join the military and then be paid to change your gender and have our taxpayers fund it. Just like I don't think taxpayer money should fund breast implants. Does anybody out there think, you know what? If a young soldier, God bless her, has smaller boobs and wants to get bigger boobs, does anybody out there think that taxpayer dollars should pay for her boobs? And I say that as a steadfast proponent of boobs. Nobody loves boobs more than me. They've never led me astray. Why in the world should you be able to use taxpayer-funded dollars to change your sex? I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm saying if it makes you happier, go do it. I'm just saying, to me, there is no way out there to justify taxpayer dollars going to change your gender. I think that's crazy. So if I were Donald Trump, the rule that I would have put forward is you cannot be a member of the armed services and use armed services insurance to be able to change your gender. If you want to do full gender reassignment surgery and join the military, do it. If you want to do that, that should be perfectly fine. But by and large, you should not be able to join the military and have gender reassignment surgery on tax dollars. I just think that's crazy. Just like you shouldn't be able to go out and have boob jobs, or for that matter, a nose job or anything else. Cosmetic surgery, and that's what changing your gender is. It's cosmetic surgery that makes you happier. If you want to do that, more power to you. One of my cousins changed genders, all right? Perfectly fine with it. I have no issue with what you do if you're a consenting adult making you happier. But there's no way on earth that the United States government should have to subsidize your gender change. I think that's crazy. Like the person, Chelsea Manning, who was in jail and a traitor, and then we paid for her to become a man, or whatever the vice versa it was. I think that's crazy. I think that's insane. I think that is insane beyond belief. So what I would do is say, you can do whatever you want, but you've got to finish. That's the truth. All right? That is my belief. It's incredibly expensive. Nobody should do that. Also, this is a further example, and by the way, I got my rainbow cup today. Nobody loves the gays more than me. A further thing, especially lesbians, a further thing I've got to say here. Why in the world, when all of this stuff is going on Earth, do we keep fighting over transgender people? This is just so exhausting to me. 99.9% of people are not transgender, right? This was my issue with the bathroom bill that we got into this huge fight about, and everybody had to take this aggressive stand. I just was like, this is crazy. Most people don't care about transgender bathroom rights because transgender people use the bathroom of the sex that they look like. I thought both the left wing and the right wing had incredibly stupid arguments on this case. Remember I talked about this, and sports got all wrapped up in it because the NBA's like, we're not going to have our all-star game here. And then the ACC decided to pull the ACC title game. The NCAA pulled the NCAA tournament, which in ironic fashion led to Duke probably losing to South Carolina in Greenville, I believe it was, South Carolina. Here's the deal, all right? I am a very middle-of-the-road guy. You guys know this. Ever since the civil rights movement ended, in the 1970s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s, we never had an issue with transgender bathroom rights. Do you know why? Because the general rule is if you look like a boy, you use the boys' bathroom, and if you look like a girl, you use the girls' bathroom. And nobody's standing outside the bathroom, Crocodile Dundee people, throwing their fingers out to try to see whether or not you got a dick or a vagina to see which bathroom you're going to use, right? That's just the way it is. That isn't a very complicated concept. And then we end up with the far left and the far right fighting over this. And I would say that to a certain extent, Donald Trump's ruling is an extension of that. Because I believe what happened is Donald Trump decided, I'm going to give something to the far right, even though I don't believe this impacts the military in any way. Much like I don't really believe gay people impact the military in any way. My position is you should just pay for it. If you want to be a girl and you are a guy and then you still desperately want to serve your country, I think you should be able to do it. Pay for all your gender reassignment surgery. Join the military once you're complete. Either way, boy or girl, right? My position on this is the reason why Donald Trump did it is because he's about ready to fire Jeff Sessions. And I believe he wants to fire Jeff Sessions, who is a right-wing conservative. This way, he can give something to the right wing to show them that he is still a conservative, while at the same time being able to fire Jeff Sessions and get a new attorney general. That's my belief on this. That's what I really think the motivation for this is, that Donald Trump wants to give something to the right wing of his party so they can say, you know what, along with getting the new Supreme Court justice and trying to repeal the health care bill, Donald Trump is one of us. I think what is shameless about this is Donald Trump doesn't care about transgender people in the military. And personally, I think if he really does care, I think that he should have brought out the military generals who are making this argument to make the case. He said that he's relying on the recommendations of his military generals. I think he should have had a press conference after that where the military generals lay out, I want to know, what does it cost? What do we spend a year on gender reassignment surgery for soldiers? How many people are there? I would like to actually know the numbers behind a policy such as this. I would also say, what happens if some of the people who are transgender are some of the most talented people in the military? In particular, what if they're incredible when it comes to covert operations, let's just say? I think that's kind of dumb. I would have had a different rule if people are really talented. I mean, you guys know my rule on life, is that talent exceeds problems. So if I have somebody who is the best counterintelligence terrorism expert and that person has changed genders, I don't want to have to kick them out of the military because they're transgender, right? I don't want to do that. I think that that is a bad example, a bad ruling. I want the best possible people in the jobs. That's my position in general on the transgender military ban. What questions do you guys have out there for me about this situation? Would I want somebody in battle? I wouldn't probably want a woman in battle beside me, personally, right? I don't know why. Is that sexist? There's a reason why, by and large, physically, women have not participated in combat. It's because men are better at combat-ready military positions than women are. Now, if it's flying a helicopter, or if it's flying an airplane, or if there's something that cannot be tangibly proven physically to not be as much of an issue, then I'm fine. What's the current rule on women in combat? Most women are not fighting in combat right now, right? By and large, I don't know why this is a crazy position. Evidently, everything is sexist now. Biologically, men are stronger than women. If men are stronger than women, and I'm in a fight that requires physical strength, I want the guys or girls in my group to be as strong as they possibly can. So by and large, if I had to be in a fight, do you know who I want with me? A dude, as opposed to a girl. Doesn't mean a girl can't fight, just means that by and large. So I want, if I'm in a military platoon, and frankly, I've never served in the military, so I'm not an expert, I want someone who's able to do everything that they need to be able to do to make my unit as safe as possible. So the physical requirements that are set in place in order for somebody to be combat worthy, I want that to have taken place, right? Like, I don't want standards being lowered so that women are able to qualify to fight in combat, right? I mean, that's my position, pretty straightforward. I want the military to bring home as many guys and girls safely as they can. And so the standard for behavior and the standard for strength and the standard for fighting, I don't want lowered. If there are women who can reach it, more power to you. But I don't want suddenly the Green Berets or the who are the baddest asses out there, the who are the baddest of the badasses. You guys, the names are fading me right now. The guys who go out and commit the Navy SEALs. I don't want the Navy SEALs being inclusive. All right, I don't want the fucking Navy SEALs to be inclusive. I want them to be the baddest ass of the badasses, right? I don't want somebody to be like, oh, you know what? There's too many white people in the Navy SEALs. There's too many white men, or there's too many black men. We need more diversity in the Navy SEALs. The fuck we do. I want the Navy SEALs to be the baddest motherfuckers on the planet. If some women are the baddest motherfuckers on the planet, then I'm fine with them being the Navy SEALs. But I don't want people to be Navy SEALs who are in incredibly important jobs just so we can have a picture and everybody can put their arms around each other and we can say, look, it's the united colors of the Navy SEALs. Look how pretty they are. I want the motherfuckers who are going to kill people the best, right? I want the motherfuckers who are going to be the most fearless. I want the baddest ass of the badasses working in America today, right? And there's a lot of people out there who say, oh, it needs to be more inclusive. Fuck inclusivity, all right? I want the best people in the jobs. You can quote me on that. Fuck inclusivity, all right? I don't want people who are at high levels to be inclusive. You don't want that in your sports teams. You're not like, you know what I wish the Dallas Cowboys were? I wish they were more inclusive. I wish they had more Asian guys on the defensive line. I wish they had more white corners. I wish the Dallas Cowboys had a girl kicker. No, you want your team to be elite motherfuckers and beat the crap out of everybody. You don't want an inclusive football team. I made this argument. I want you guys to think about it for a minute. Think about this for a minute. I'm anti-inclusivity, okay? I'm anti-inclusivity for this reason. I am pro-exclusivity in that I want the people who are the absolute best to succeed and get jobs, much like with athletics, right? We don't have the Olympics for average people who are like, you know, Usain Bolt's really fast, but what I would really love to see is a slow white guy able to race in the Olympics. You ever watch the white guy and know he's going to lose before it even starts? It's like the white dude is not going to be the fastest, all right? I want exclusivity at the peak of the pyramid, all right? That's the truth of the matter. And so when I see all these arguments, people are like, we've got to be more inclusive in sports, more diverse, all this stuff. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I see it all the time being applied across the landscape. Like I was reading an article yesterday and people were saying, you know what has to happen? Law firms have to become more inclusive. They have to have more female partners. You know, over half of all people who graduate from law firms, law schools now are female. And they're like, why aren't there more female partners? And I said, you know why there aren't? Because they don't bill as many hours. You know, it's brutal, but the law firm life is about, this is an easy example. The law firm life is about billing as many hours as you possibly can and having virtually no life. That's how you make as much money and revenue in your law firm as possible. So when everybody's out there like, women are only 20% of equity partners in law firms, do you know what I say? I say that's because women make about 20% of the money that men do. I've been in law firms. They're working desperately to try to be diverse. Do you know why they're not diverse? Because women don't want to work as many hours as men do. Because women don't bill as many hours as men do. And I translate that across the board because I hear about all these Facebooks and Amazons and Twitters and everybody else. They're like, there isn't enough diversity in high-tech companies. I want you to follow me on this strategy for me. There's not enough diversity in high-tech companies. There needs to be more inclusion. I'm like, wait a minute. I think just about all of you would agree that in sports, we believe that the best person gets the job, right? Doesn't matter what your race is, doesn't matter what your gender is. If there were a lesbian quarterback who could play football like Tom Brady, somebody in the NFL would start her, right? The gayness wouldn't matter. The feminine aspect of her nature would not matter. All that would matter is winning, right? But think about the NFL. The NFL is not that competitive of an industry. Everybody's like, oh, the NFL is so competitive. It's so hard to win football games. I always take a step back and say, wait a minute. The Cleveland Browns have sucked for a long time, right? The Cleveland Browns have been awful for a really long time. What has their business done? It's skyrocketed. Their franchise value has exploded. Do you know why? Because even if the Cleveland Browns, or for that matter, the LA Clippers in the NBA, suck, they're part of a monopoly. They're part of a closed system. Everybody is tied together socialistically such that it's impossible once you have a franchise, by and large, except for a couple of contraction situations in the Major League Baseball, for you to ever lose your franchise. Right? Think about that. So, notwithstanding that, the fact that the business model of an NFL team is great, even if you suck, you're going to make $1 billion if you're fortunate enough to own a team. Why in a socialistic, not very competitive, non-cutthroat industry where everybody wins, do we believe that the best people get their jobs? But when you look at the tech industry, for instance, everybody remember MySpace? It's dead. Everybody remember Snapchat? It's about to be dead. Why do we assume that those companies are not hiring the best possible people they can get when their stakes are infinitely higher? If your company sucks and starts to lose, it goes bankrupt and ceases to exist, like MySpace and like Snapchat. Snapchat's about to go bankrupt because Instagram just took away their business model. Why is that? Yeah, Snapchat's going to go dead. You want to short a company right now, Snapchat is finished. Somebody might buy it out, but Instagram created the exact same business model as Snapchat. Snapchat's stock is plummeting. That company's dead. It's the next MySpace. Everybody is going to be able to do the exact same thing as Snapchat. They weren't able to build a big enough moat. That business is dead. I'm just telling you. I'm telling you right now, why do you assume that those businesses which have so much at stake, that they're not hiring the best possible people they can when their entire future matters every single day, but you do assume that a sports franchise is? I want you to think about that. Nobody ever asked that question. It's a really good one. The competition and things at stake right now are disastrous compared to what happens elsewhere. Think about it. All right, we're going to hit a bunch of different things. Kyrie and LeBron, did you see Kyrie singing I'm Coming Home? I'm hoping they're going to end up on the same team because I would love to see this play out over the course of the entire season. Unfortunately, I believe that Kyrie and LeBron are going to get broken up. That's going to kill the East. LeBron James to the Lakers next year, and Kyrie Irving to one of the 4 teams that he has to go to. Talking about Kyrie and LeBron, I went longer on topic 1 than I thought. The CTE study. We're going to spend a lot of time on the CTE study tomorrow. I believe, and again, I'm going to continue to say, to the extent we have a book club, every one of you needs to read League of Denial. If you watch this show ever, I'm Clay Travis. This is Outkick the Show presented by Oddshark. If you listen to my morning show, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, 250 a.m. FM stations nationwide, all 50 states, and Sirius XM Channel 83. If you listen to me at all, trust me on this, go buy League of Denial at Amazon. It's like $12. Read it. Even if you're not a reader, you need to read this book. It's the most important sports book that's been written in the last 20 years. And we're going to have a big discussion about it tomorrow on Outkick. That's important. Number 4, how about this? God bless The Pac-12. Yeah, we're on in St. Louis. We're on in front of Tim McKernan's show. I just saw that question. 5 to 7 a.m. in St. Louis. On in front of Tim McKernan's show on, I can't remember the AM station. I think it's like 540. One of you probably knows. One of you probably watches on St. Louis. If you know, you can hop in and let people know. We just started there a couple of weeks ago. And we just started in Tampa. And we just started in Tucson, Arizona. 590. There you go. A lot more people. Got to give credit. Thank you for all the people. 590 The Fan in St. Louis. We just started a couple of weeks ago. We're on in Jacksonville, Florida. I don't know what station it is, but you can Google Clay Travis. If you're curious if we're on in your market, type in your market and Outkick the coverage on Google. I tried to put out a list of the top markets that we're in. We're on in all 50 states. Sirius XM Channel 83 right now is the easiest way to say, no matter where you are. Yes, we're on in Columbia, South Carolina. I can't answer every single, I don't know. We're over 250 affiliate stations. We're on in almost every market, okay? So if you Google it, you can find us in lots of different places. 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, 5 to 8 Mountain, 5 to 8 Central, 4 to 7 Mountain, 3 to 6 on the West Coast. So you can also stream us, by the way, on iHeartRadio. You can stream us every single day, anywhere in the country. You can download that app and just pull it up and play it anywhere you are in the country. So that's easy to do too. You can also ask Alexa. Do you know that? If you have Alexa in your house and you're up moving around in the morning getting started for your day, you can ask Alexa to play our show and it comes up, which is pretty cool. So if you have, there you go, Jacksonville is 9:30. You can pull it up and you can be ready to go. It's pretty awesome. The band. I have been going at it with the band people for years now, right? I've been going at it for years with band people, about a year actually. Since last year when I was talking about after the Tennessee-Texas A&M game, I said college football has to do something to make things easier. I said college football has to do something to avoid 5-hour games. And I was given suggestions. One would be run the clock during after first downs. Another would be potentially like set up all sorts of interesting kind of setups with maybe you run the ball, maybe you keep the clock running during some incompletions, maybe you never stop the clock after first downs, like I said. And I said the halftime is a big part of it too. Halftime in the NFL, if you go to an NFL stadium, is 12 minutes. The minute that guys start to jog off the field, they put up 12 minutes. 12 minutes is almost no time at all. And you'll notice that in the NFL. Like if you're watching an NFL game, you go to the bathroom and you come back and the game is about to start back all over again, right? I think the other thing they could do, by the way, is take a lead from what happened with the British Open and play the screen during timeouts, right? They could easily show a 30-second commercial sometimes or a 20-second commercial after a play during a drive, right? Keep the little small box up, but while they're lining up, go ahead and show us a 20-second ad and then go right back and you never miss a play, right? You could easily do that. There's lots of ways you could address it. But what I said was, one of the things they should do is the band should stop performing for as long as they do at halftime of college football games. And I thought that was a decent suggestion. The band can perform before the game. They can perform after the game. But why do we need both bands to come on the field and perform during halftime? It doesn't make any sense to me. College football halftimes are 20 minutes, and they don't actually start the halftime clock until the players actually get into the locker room. So if you watch the 20-minute clock, a lot of times halftimes can cost like 25 minutes. College football, if you sit in a college football stadium, they take forever for the halftime. So my suggestion was just, look, you could easily knock off 5 or 10 minutes of a college football game just by shortening halftime. Nobody wants to watch the band. And if you do want to watch the band, hello, they march into the stadium. They perform before the game. Why do we need them to line up and go onto the field at halftime to perform? We don't need it. It's completely unnecessary. So to their credit, the Pac-12 is going to actually cut 5 minutes out of halftime, cut it down to 15 minutes, and I think it'll make it seem like it's a lot faster. What I would do if I were designing college football right now is, one, I would stop stopping the clock after first downs. I don't think that makes sense. I think it takes too much time. I would do that. And two, I would shorten half times. And three, I would say that much like the NFL, you're going to get a game done in 3 hours. And the way that we're going to do it in 3 hours is we're going to have running ads during the course of drives sometimes, and we'll find a way to more integrate advertising sponsorships into the flow of the overall show. You should never have a 5-hour college football game. 4-hour college football games are insanely common. That's half of a normal workday. That's banana land. That's absurd to allow that to happen. So that's my suggestion. If you want to see the band perform, show up before, and then, let's ruin everything that makes the college game better than the NFL. Hey, buddy, fuck you. The band doesn't make better than the NFL, all right? If you are a pussy and you believe that the band performing at halftime makes college football better than the NFL, you need to get the fuck out of this show and go watch some ESPN bullshit, all right? The band does not make the motherfucking college game better than the NFL game, all right? Band lives don't matter, you cunt. Period. All right? If you are a band person, you need to get the fuck out of this show and go watch some other loser at ESPN who's going to cuddle your balls and tell you that you matter and whisper sweet nothings into your ear. That ain't this show. The band does not at all matter. Period. All right, finally. I am all in on the death penalty in this particular case. I'm anti the death penalty in general. But some dude out there put King Cobras into Pringles potato chip cans and smuggled King Cobras into America. Can you believe that this happened? 3 King Cobras. This time, he had previously tried to put 20 King Cobras into America, shipped them right into Southern California. I'm telling you right now, if you put a Cobra in a Pringles potato chip can, you should be decapitated. Right then and there. I would put it on television. I'll be like, what'd this motherfucker do? He put a King Cobra into a Pringles can, and then he tried to ship it into America. And all you got to do to get that King Cobra out running around all over California or Florida or the Southeast or anywhere else where it's warm is have a guy try to eat a Pringle and a motherfucking King Cobra comes out. I'm telling you right now. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. I want those guys decapitated right here and now. We got to send a message. Cobras in Pringles cans cannot happen. It's like that day back in the day when I was a kid and they had crappy things that would pop out. You remember that? Like you'd be like, my grandma used to have them. You go to your grandma's house, she'd be like, hey, do you want some peanuts? Hand you the peanuts, you pull the top off, boom. Something comes flying out. Imagine if an actual Cobra came out. You tell me that you're ever recovering for the rest of your life. I'm never eating a Pringle. If I was the CEO of Pringles, I would decapitate these guys myself. Kills the business right then and there. Why would you ever buy Pringles if potentially a Cobra could come out? I'm telling you right now, it's such a diabolical idea. I don't know what else these guys could be into, but you put a King Cobra into a Pringle can, right now, hit in there, you need to get Ned Stark. We need to put you on television. We need to bring out from the museums in France, bring a guillotine over. We need to put him in a town square. We need to get that motherfucker leaning over, like holding on to something. Bang, head right off. And then you need to hold his head up. You need to say, this is what happens. You put a King Cobra into a Pringle. I'm anti-death penalty, but pro-death penalty for Cobras in Pringles. Period. I get elected president on death penalty for King Cobras into Pringles. No way to defend it. No way to stop it from happening. Last thing I want, I hate snakes. Last thing I want is this country overridden by Cobras. I'm afraid that it's going to happen because of this Cobra thing in the Pringles can. This guy did it 23 times. 23 times he got King Cobras shipped to him in a Pringles can. Think about the diabolical nature of this. If you put a King Cobra into anything and it makes it to America and we find out that you did it, we need to get the Navy SEALs, and not the Navy SEALs that are inclusive, that just happen to have a bunch of losers in them. I want the baddest ass Navy SEAL motherfuckers on the planet to show up and execute everybody. And I want them to do it like ISIS style and put up the videos on YouTube and say, this is what happens if you put a King Cobra into a Pringles can. We're going to make our own ISIS snuff films. Here are the Navy SEALs, and here's a dude with a sword, and he's going to chop some motherfuckers' heads off. Don't send Cobras to America unless you want your head cut off. That's my belief. I'm Clay Travis. I appreciate all of you spending your Wednesday with me. We'll be back tomorrow, same time as always. This is Outkick the Show. If you enjoyed it, share it with your friends. Go download the podcast. You can also come hang out with us for 3 hours every single morning, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, 250 a.m. and FM stations nationwide, all 50 states, as well as Sirius XM, Channel 83. I love all of you. DBAP, go buy your shirts. We're almost sold out of these. Outkickgear.com if you want your own DBAP shirt. A lot of new shirts coming soon on Outkickgear.com. You better buy these while you can. I'm Clay Travis. This has been Outkick the Show, presented by Oddshark. DBAP, motherfuckers. See y'all.